right. So, do you want to tell us a little bit more about Earth Day and just kind of what you're?
Oh, well, I can remember the first Earth Day, which was started by Dennis Hayes. And then that would have been April 22nd, 1970. And they had teach-ins up at Kent State University, and I was just interested, and I'm not sure that I did very much about it. But the next year, 1971, I'm a member of the Kent League of Women Voters. We had a committee, and we said, let's do a project. And so what we did was a Cuyahoga caravan. And of course, the Cuyahoga River, which is very well known, and because, for example, the fire on June 22nd, 1969, we said, well, we'll have two groups of people, invite them, and start one group down in Cuyahoga Valley, which of course wasn't the national park at that time, and the other group up at in Geauga County at River Park in Burton, and that's close to the headwaters, not the headwaters itself, but it's close. And we would meet in the middle for lunch and have somebody give a talk about the River Day. And so that's what we did. And we had a flag up on the top of our radio antenna, and the people followed in their own cars. And so we had a good time, and we planned, the first stop was River Park, and the Cuyahoga River goes right through. And then our next stop, on each leg of it, we found an industry place, which was cooperative, and that was in Aurora. One of the industries had stormwater washing out somewhere on their property, and so they put in a stormwater detention pond in their front yard, and so we stopped there. And then our next place was the Sonico Products in Monroe Falls, and they recycle cardboard, make new cardboard out of old cardboard and newspapers. And then we met for lunch, and right now my memory fails me. I don't remember about the actual person who spoke, but it was somebody well known in the area, and the other group met us from the other end, and for the people who had paid for a box lunch, and we enjoyed it.
That's
and
great.
unfortunately, it was a nice day too. But I just want to recall that the reason started that people were learning all during the 60s to pay attention, learning more about the environment. This is 1962 was Rachel Carson's book about Silent Spring. What did that mean? That meant that there were no robins or any birds because they would look for earthworms who had ingested some of these toxic pesticides. And that did not kill the bird itself, but the eggs would fail to hatch. And so it would be a silent spring. And then, of course, Lake Erie was reported to be dead. Well, the actual fact was it was too much alive because so much pollution was pouring into Lake Erie, and including fertilizing ingredients, the nitrates and the phosphates. So the algae grew, said, oh, yum, yum, goody. And then they're a short-lived plant, so then they died and decayed and took all the oxygen out of the lake. So no fish, or very few, very poor pollution-intolerant fish. So everybody said Lake Erie was dead. Well, then finally, the Cuyahoga River, not in the upper reaches, but in down near the harbor, caught on fire, and the public got mad. Rivers should not catch on fire. And it burned, it charred a railroad bridge down there going across the lower Cuyahoga. And then things began to happen. And that was June of 1969. And November of 1969, Congress passed the National Environmental Policy Act that said before there's a significant federal action, take a look at what you're doing, the impacts of what you're doing, and now known as the Environmental Impact Statement. By 1970, Congress had passed the Clean Air Act, and 1972 was the Clean Water Act, and the Coastal Zone Management Act, and the International Joint Commission, both U.S. and Canada, drew up the Great Lakes Water Quality Agreement. And by George, they're just working on updating it this year, hope to get it done by the end of this year, because the last time they updated it was 1987. So, you know, we're making progress, and I think we'd like to have results faster than they actually occur. But one of my friends said one time that look back 25 years. Is it better than it was 25 years ago? And the answer is yes.
Great.
We can enjoy places like these state parks, and we have to take care of them because the pads are so huge. They put 6 to 10 wells on off a pad, and there wouldn't be anything left, you know, that's nice and peaceful and restore your soul.
Right.